So here's my Twitter feed. I love this meme especially. Free Palestine of what? Free Palestine of what exactly? Well, that's easy. Of Israel. Of the occupiers, right? Israel Exposed says genocide, apartheid, and Zionist freaks. Duh. You get some sloppers here too, but I gotta be careful what I show you because on Twitter anything goes and on YouTube it's not so much. Israel Exposed says Israeli propaganda is not meant to convince you. It is meant to exhaust you. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Remember that. So true. So true. But they won't last. James Lee says, this clip has been going around. I haven't watched it yet, but I see a lot of people reposting it. It's Ben Shapiro. James Lee says Ben Shapiro has lost so bad in the marketplace of ideas that he now hates the free market. The Daily Wire co-founder Ben Shapiro says, quote, the algorithms are destroying America. Yes, those God-forsaken algorithms. The more time you're spending on X, maybe the less informed you are, and also the more out of touch with reality you are. This is coming from the same person who said if you are a New Yorker and you can't afford New York, you might as well just leave, okay? You don't belong in New York City. You're a loser if you try to address the cost of living. But, he's talking to 60%, 192 million Americans who cannot afford the, quote, minimal quality of life. Okay, so most Americans in our society today, most American households cannot afford the minimal quality of life. And Ben Shapiro says, to hell with you. You belong in another country.
The algorithms are destroying America. This is my informed view.
Sounds like it should go.
Yeah, I mean, there we go. Don, look at us come together. As soon as the reason I say this is because the TikTok and X algorithms in particular program for virality.
Jeez, I can't see too good. Is that Hillary Clinton speaking there on stage? I could have sworn Hillary Clinton was pearl clutching about the same thing.
And so they are programming for what is the strongest response, the strongest emotional response. Absolutely can be manipulated by outside actors. You've actually seen quite a bit of this on both TikTok as well as X. But
this guy has been one of the biggest rage baiters of the last decade, and he's complaining that the algorithm is geared to be insightful to its viewers.
People are then in the real world use that as a substitute for polling, for example. So you see politicians, and if they get a lot of retweets, they think what they're saying is popular, and then they do more of it. And so you'll see it bleed over into the real world. Trends that you would never get if you just walked around and talked to normal humans suddenly start popping up when you talk around with normal humans because they've been watching it online and it's been really, really pushed. And so when people say how do we get back to normal, my first recommendation is
people are noticing too much. Okay, you used to go around in society and people weren't really thinking about Israel so much, but then 2 years into a live stream genocide, now suddenly social media that has been covering this relentlessly, now people are starting to talk about it in real life, and it's really scary. They're so out of touch.
To do something that actually is the opposite of what our industry should be saying, which is get offline, actually turn off your phone and go to a place with actual human beings and have conversations with those people.
This is a social media influencer saying this, who's made a career off of people being on their phones and monetizing people's attention. He's saying, we can't control the narrative. Get off your phone. Go touch grass. Stop looking at the phone. Stop noticing.
And, this is where I make my non-religious pitch. Everybody needs a form of Sabbath. You should get off your phone on Friday night. You should get back on your phone on Saturday night and just be completely disconnected from everything that's going on and be in a place where everybody who is bonding over values and over shared things. That the more online we are, the more polarized we are. And I think that's been the opposite of the way that we viewed politics for decades in the country. The more informed you are, the better the...
I think honestly, more so than that, not being able to afford gas for your car or having to choose between eating dinner and filling up your tank and all these precarious situations that we find ourselves in as the working class of America, I think that's probably more polarizing, don't you think? Statistics that tell us that, billionaires have accrued, something like $10 trillion from the bottom half of the population since the start of COVID. I feel like those are pretty polarizing statistics, right? Not being able to afford baby formula, being sunk in school debt to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars, just living a precarious life. I feel like those are more polarizing causes than anything an algorithm is feeding us.
The electorate's going to be. And it turns out that because our informational ecosystem is so polluted.
Informational ecosystem is so polluted.
Because it is actually programming to the id inside all of us, What that means is that probably the more time you're
Is this Carl freaking Jung here talking now? He's going all psychological.
spending on X, or the more time you're spending on TikTok, maybe the less informed you are, and also the more polarized you are, and the more out of touch with reality you are.
That's true. People think that they live on. I have a producer who.
The most out of touch person you know is condemning with such contempt for his own audience the very thing that he does.
Lives on. And every time I ask him for something, he goes to Twitter, and I said, "Do you ever do research other than Twitter?"
Touch some grass.
Yeah, touch some grass. But I do. It's interesting that Ben, you say that because I do.
Oh my God, is that Don Lemon? Look, we in Louisiana do not claim Don Lemon. All right, I just want to say that.
Every single day, I tell people, because I go live at 10 and 5, and I tell them between that, they can be informed without being inundated. They can read. And until then, I tell them, until I see you at 5 o'clock, turn the TV off.
They're just losing the plot. It's just slipping away, isn't it? I retweeted a bunch of the accounts that I follow because they're all covering these crazy clips. Here's another one of the Zop Slop Cope variety. The Cope slopping. Randy Fine introduces a bill forcing the State Department to give briefings on the anti-Semitism in Europe, despite being a raging bigot himself. This is why Zionists should never be in power, says Adam. They always work to elevate themselves and steal our freedom. And in the case of Representative Randy Fine, steal our Cajun fries and our fried chicken.
Growing threat of anti-Semitism, to make clear to our European allies that the conduct that they have allowed to take place within their countries is simply unacceptable. After this assessment, the Assistant Secretary for European and Eurasian Affairs will engage with those countries that are identified as countries of apparent...
It just looks so boyish with the tiny hat on top of their heads. It's like, how do you take that seriously? It's the only thing I want to talk about.
...concern and ask for their cooperation in countering this rising anti-Semitism, and it will require those individuals to provide a briefing to both our committee and our Senate counterpart to make sure we are up to date on what these European countries are doing. But make no mistake, and let me say this loudly and clearly, what these
Make no mistake. You know, every time you hear that phrase, make no mistake, I just want you to understand that you are listening to a fascist.
European countries have allowed to take place in their countries is unacceptable. And we should be warned that where anti-Semitism rears its ugly head, societal collapse soon comes thereafter. That's what we've seen.
Societal, I gotta choose my words very carefully. This person is talking about societal collapse. And he's not referring to Zionists who are societally collapsing Gaza and Palestine. He's talking about, of course, the reaction to that.
In 3,000 years of
That's the real societal collapse.
Anti-Semitism around the world. So I again want to thank the chairman for bringing this bill up, for making it a priority, for allowing us to say to our friends in Europe that what they have allowed is simply unacceptable, and that we in the United States will be watching. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
We will be watching. What can you say to that, you know? Keep crying, I guess? I mean, has he tried crying about it?
I think that on a sort of public policy level, reparative policies don't tend to be nearly as effective as people want them to be, historically speaking.
They work for Jewish people.
In what way?
Jewish people that receive reparations.
You mean Holocaust reparations, for example, from Germany? So I think that first of all, that there was like a gigantic fight actually in Israel over whether Holocaust survivors should accept reparations from Germany, because the idea.
What about just American subsidies? I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. It's just free money. Here, Israel. Here's $3 billion every year unconditionally, in addition to all of the weapons and other funding that we funnel to Israel on behalf of the American taxpayer.
The idea was that it's allowing them to expiate their sins of the past, and they shouldn't be allowed to expiate those sins, and it's allowing them to sort of buy off the history for $50,000 or whatever.
Yeah, this guy is once again saying, we can't be bothered with reparations. They don't. But meanwhile, let's subsidize and socialize Israel, of course.
I think that on it.
He's just like, I think with Ben, it's just, he's such a Jewish supremacist. He's such a, he has nothing but contempt for his audience, even for his own followers, but just the general public. It's just like anybody that's not a rich Jewish supremacist like he is, and the people that he promotes, then there's no commitment to any principles here. It's whatever I say goes for you is what goes for you, and I don't have to abide by the same criteria, of course. I don't know how you, square that circle, as they say. A terrifying CNN report reveals how Israel buried hundreds of starving Palestinians alive. Bulldozed corpses and unmarked graves. CNN investigates the fate of Gaza's missing aid seekers. They buried starving people alive, and Israel has not been kicked out of any international institution or competition so far. Shame on humanity. What kind of world are we raising children in? How is no one demanding an end to this? A Palestinian man closed his shop a few minutes late during an IDF raid. Israeli soldiers arrested him and destroyed the entire place. What is he wearing on top of his head? He's wearing a big... It looks like it's got like a big labia on his head. Do they ever, do they ever laugh at like wholesome stuff, or is it just like every time they laugh, it's like because they are stealing other people's things or destroying other people's things? Are they just always laughing at their own cynicism and depravity? Is that the only thing is that Israeli comedy for us? That's their brand? Do they ever just like laugh at normal things? I haven't seen it.
Just think we need to kill them, every one of them, and that's it. And if not that, because the country will not let that happen, the government. Just the least we can do is just kick them out of our land, because this is our home, this is our land, and we deserve it. Just think we need to kill them, every one of them, and that's it. And if not that, because the country will not let that happen.
This girl is a product of a monstrous society. This is what 75 years of dehumanization and apartheid creates. A society hungry for G-side. Yeah, how many videos have we seen of settlers saying exactly the same thing? We know it's overwhelmingly popular there in Israel. I, on the other hand, have gotten blocked by Eve Barlow, who is a Zionist journalist, apparently. I don't know, she tweets a lot of rage bait. Let's see, we talked about Rabbi Poo-Poo. We saw that. Let's see. Oh, this is interesting. Speaking of Ben Shapipi, he's officially fallen off with his viewership. His viewership is plummeting and subscribers going negative. He's now hawking Israeli Wire memberships at a 50% discount. It's over. Look at this. Monthly gained subscribers for Ben Shapiro. Look at them plummeting from 2023. That's crazy. They hit their peak at like right before October 7th. And then it just starts precipitously falling. Look at that. That's amazing. It's in the negative now. He's hemorrhaging followers and subscribers. You love to hate to love to hate to love to see it, guys. Both his views, and his subscribers. I wonder how they got that information. And I wonder if that's for is that for his specific, like his website, or is that for YouTube? Either way, it's a good look. Keep going, Ben. Keep talking. Keep giving interviews. Keep giving contemptuous, cynical tirades where you're just attacking everyone as if everybody is beneath you. I think it's obviously working. He said something pretty funny too in a recent interview. He's like, "What I'm about to tell you is not politically popular." Okay, maybe you want to adopt some other talking points then, if what you're saying is not really popular among the people. Not to say that, you should pander, but at the same time, try to at least be in touch like you claim that you are, and you deride everyone else for thinking the wrong things and being out of touch. Maybe you should be more in touch with your audience. But no, let's just double down on the politically unpopular things to say. Couldn't possibly be anything that you're doing, right? This picture is from 15 years ago, 2010. Look at that. Is this the same?
Don't tend to be nearly as effective as people want them to be, historically speaking.
For Jewish people.
Israel has to spend all of that money. By the way,
here's a longer clip. Let's see if we go into more about Ben Shapiro's talking points here.
The history for 50 grand or whatever it is. But that is not the reason why Israel has become successful economically, like just on a success level.
Yeah, why has... Listen to that. That's not the reason. So they're talking about Jewish reparations. Ben is saying reparations don't work. Charlemagne says, well, they worked for Jewish people. Jewish people got reparations, didn't they? You know, the other thing is black people have never gotten reparations for slavery or Jim Crow or segregation. They're still actually living in a post-slavery world, where, you know, post-colonial world, and a lot of the institutions that were formed in that time period are still prevalent. You know, it still has a very much an effect on you know, black people's ability to, like, let's say get a loan, you know, apply for a job. You know, all of these, they've been sidelined, marginalized throughout history, and they're still feeling those effects, and they've never received reparations for that. And Ben Shapiro says, well, you shouldn't be receiving reparations, but also, you know, well, Jewish people have received reparations, and of course Shapiro's like, yeah, that's totally different, and you know, that's not the reason why, you know, Israel getting reparations from Germany, let's say for the hologram, is not why Israel is a successful economy. Well, let's talk about why Israel is a successful economy. Because it's sucking on the mother teat of the nanny state that is the United States of America. They receive billions in unconditional aid every year. I mean, we've given them, over the course of, you know, their illustrious 77-year career, we've given Israel, I want to say the figure was in the trillions, and don't quote me on that, but I believe I've heard that from knowledgeable sources. But this says Israel took $500 billion from America and $30 billion since October 7th. So I don't know whether it's 500 billion or it's a trillion since 1948. It's a hell of a lot of money, and we are propping up their economy. You know, they're called the startup nation. Well, why is that? Because they are an outgrowth of Silicon Valley, and a lot of the biggest Silicon Valley high-tech corporations are the biggest investors in the state of Israel. They're very much embedded in the Silicon Valley network. So what would they be without United States investment and subsidy? They wouldn't be a successful economy. The thing would implode.
The reality is that cutting people checks rarely makes them more successful from the government. What usually makes people more successful is a determined attempt to become the things that the meritocracy demands of you. Right?
Just a word salad, doesn't mean anything. Let's take out all the substance of any meaningful economic argument about the Israeli economy and its dependency on U.S. investment and subsidies. Let's just say it's just a determined attempt to be what the meritocracy demands of you. Just bootstrap yourself. You know, it's just the free market.
So there were no long
I do
scale.
think the U.S. foreign assistance.
Well, I mean, the U.S. foreign assistance for Israel actually is a bargain for the United States, because Israel.
But that's not what we're talking about, Ben. We weren't talking about if it was a good investment for the United States. You're talking about why Israel is a successful economy. The reason it's a successful economy is because the United States subsidizes it.
Doesn't need the money. I've said this before.
Well,
Israel.
give it to us.
I mean,
we'll take it.
That's fine.
The black community would gladly take it.
That's in it.
I can't speak for everybody.
It's like $3 billion a year. We should point out at this point that we spend, I think, $6 billion a year on our military bases in Japan, $5 billion a year on our military bases.
Yeah, look elsewhere. We also, spend money in the military-industrial complex. We all in maintaining U.S. hegemony. Yeah, we also, fund our military-industrial complex in other countries too. So look over there.
In Germany, we spend an awful lot of money that helps an awful lot of other countries. Israel has to spend all of that money, by the way, in the United States on military product. So all of the money that we send to we actually don't send money to Israel. We send military product to Israel, is made in the United States. And so it actually is a subsidy to the American defense industry. And there is a deal with Israel where Israel does intelligence sharing and also develops its own tech and can't disseminate it to the world. So, for example, the helmets that our F-35 pilots use, those are Israeli developed helmets.
You just spelled it out like partially true. We, the American taxpayers, give billions of dollars to Israel, who then turn around and buy U.S. weapons, making, but it's not their money. It's not like they created that value. They didn't create that money from their economy. They were given the money. They were giving they're given a subsidy by American taxpayers, and then that's a funnel. It goes to Israel, and then Israel purchases weapons, and that money goes to the defense contractors. Thank you, Name It Maine, for the 5 gifts. I sincerely appreciate that. Don't forget to hit that notice button on the stream if you like my content. Consider becoming a subscriber or a member. and you can enjoy premium access to all of my live streams. So yeah, it's just any way you slice it, this guy has no talking points that can stick.
That we can see over the horizon, for example, that's because Israel developed technological add-ons. So the idea that this is sort of like a zero sum, the money goes out, we get nothing back, that's actually not true.
And like also, what about the Israeli healthcare system and the education, like all of their social infrastructure? Thugbone, thank you for the 5 gifted. That's nice of you. I appreciate that, friend. I take back everything bad that I said about you. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean a god dang thing. Got to choose my words carefully. Got to remember not to curse. Okay, we're live streaming on YouTube, and actually we're also live streaming on Substack. First time ever. Can you believe that? I don't see anyone that's on Substack though, so we have yet to receive a comment from a Substacker. Thank you, Y2. Yes, indeed. Appreciate all the love, guys. Gazing on YouTube, you say a microphone. What is that supposed to mean? What am I supposed to take away from that? You super chatted me saying one thing. Oh, never mind. It's just it's an emote. I see. See, I don't see that it's emotes on my restream chat. It just says the thing that the emote is, which is kind of weird. All right. So anyway, Rumble, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Substack. Except I'm not streaming to Rumble. I thought I was, but I don't know. Maybe there's something weird. I got to figure out why it's not going through. But yeah, it's just four channels, four social media pages at this point. Look at this picture, guys. Look at what the chosen people are doing. This is indefensible. I don't care what you're talking about. I don't care what you're trying to excuse. There's no way. What world is this where this is okay? All right, more cope slopping from the head of Israel himself, Satan Milikowski. Netanyahu taunts New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani, saying he'll come to New York despite the ICC warrant, daring Mamdani to arrest him. Quote, "Yes, of course I will. Why don't you wait and see?"
Let me ask you a separate question. We've long wanted to do one of these interviews in person right here in New York.
By the way,
and I was
sorry, I didn't answer your question, Andrew. I'll come to New York, okay?
And that was my question.
Okay, I'll come to New York. I'm not afraid. Yes, I will take a very circuitous route to get there because I have to not fly in countries that, should something happen, they could detain me and impose the arrest warrant against me. It'll take me about probably maybe 10 more hours than my normal flight to New York City. But by golly, Satan, will get there. Yeah, Gazin 82, you're right. And actually, it'll take decades to rebuild. I think it'll take decades just to clear the rubble. Is what's crazy is that every time that there's an operation in the Gaza Strip, these illegal mowings of the lawn that Israel calls high-tech murderous bombing campaigns, because there's been so many in Israel's illustrious career. But every time it happens, human rights experts come in to assess the damage normally after it's all done, and they surmise that, like in the case of Operation Protective Edge, for example, in 2014, you had the UN commissioned group come in to assess the damage, and they said that it would take something like 20 years to clear the rubble and 147 years to rebuild the strip back to what it was in 2014, which was 11 years ago, well before October 7th, 2023. We already had UN experts saying that it would take something like 140. I might be even underestimating. It was a crazy number. It was over a century for it to just be rebuilt back to the state that it was in. Now that's crazy. And I don't even want to know the number for it now.
Question. Would you come to New York, given what the mayor has said about arresting you?
Yes, of course I will.
And you will test that? I mean, what is the thought about how that would work?
Well, why don't you wait and see? Yes, I'll come to New York.
Would you want to talk to him?
Why don't you wait and see? Sounds like a threat, honestly. Why don't you wait and see? We've got some crazy in store for you. Okay, Goyam? Just wait. It's almost like he's planning another 7-Eleven, if you will.
Him, by the way.
Well, if he changes his mind and says that we have the right to exist, that'll be a
Thank you for the cheer.
Conversation.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it really is. This guy's right. He knows he's above the law and has Trump by the you-know-what. He's, embedded with people that are way more powerful than the mayor of New York City. You know, if Mamdani is already making concessions that they're going to retain their ultra-Zionist police captain, I mean, you can't really, you can bet that he can be moved. He can be moved on all kinds of things. That's what liberals are good for. They're good to move them around. The useful idiots, although they're not really idiots because they're performing their task according to plan. But do I think who has a choice? Do I think that Zoran has a choice? I think we all have a choice. I think he certainly, it's his administration. He can decide how antagonistic he wants to be. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that he had to retain this person or that person. But I don't know. I don't know what what are they going to do? Are they going to, if he doesn't do this or A or B thing, are they going to Charlie Kirk him? Is it really that consequential? I don't know. The war crimes fugitive said he'd only speak with Mamdani if the mayor-elect changes his mind about Israel's right to exist, which I don't even think Mamdani said that Israel doesn't have a right to exist. I think Mamdani is just, typical two-state solutioner. That's pretty much, he's never called for Israel to be dismantled. Mamdani has been a vocal critic of Israel's apartheid system and the built-in hierarchy that strips Palestinians of equal rights. Australian police stopped a man because his car had anti-Semitic material on the window when the driver queried what the anti-Semitic material was. The officer replied, "The small watermelon."
Car, there are material that appears to be anti-Semitic.
What's the anti-Semitic material?
Well, there's a small watermelon. Car.
This can't be real. This is like something that you would film like on TikTok as like a joke. Like it'd be planned, it'd be acted. Even the way the guy delivered the lines, like, well, there's just like this small watermelon. Yeah. So we're gonna have to arrest you now. I'm gonna go to Class Trader Joe's and I'm gonna buy some watermelons and I'm just gonna carry them around in my car and just wait for a cop to stop me, tell me I'm being anti-Semitic. Eating watermelons, guys, is anti-Semitism. That is a porn stash. You're absolutely right. No way this guy is for real.
There are material that appears to be anti-Semitic.
What's the anti-Semitic material?
Well, there's a small watermelon.
Even the way that he gives these, like, I know this isn't really, I know this isn't pretty convincing, actually. The way that he blinks, he's like, well, he looks away. There's a small watermelon there, clearly. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe to the page to help it grow. And if you'd like to support my work, join my Patreon for exclusive content.